If you've ever had a song hold you up when life felt too heavy, there's a good chance Richard Smallwood wrote something that speaks your language. And once you hear how his music was made, through pressure, prayer, and purpose, you'll never listen the same way again. Today we're celebrating the life and music of Richard Smallwood, a writer, composer, and musician whose songs have become comfort, strength, and a lifeline for people around the world. This video is built around the heart of his work. Music written by Richard Smallwood, the kind that doesn't just sound good, but means something. And by the end, you'll understand why so many people say his songs met them right where they were. Here's the challenge with talking about Richard Smallwood. You can't separate the music from the moment. His songs aren't just tracks. They're tied to real life, hospital rooms, funeral services, nights when rent was late, mornings when grief was still sitting in the house like a heavy coat. But there's another challenge too, one that's easy to miss if you only know the big songs. Richard Smallwood is one of those artists people praise in one sentence: legend, genius, the greatest, and then they move on. But when we do that, we skip the real story. What does it take to keep writing hope when you don't feel it yourself? How do you make music that stays fresh for decades without chasing trends? And how do you carry the weight of people's expectations when your gift has become their survival song? Because when you write songs that people use to get through the hardest parts of life, the pressure is different. The standard is different, and the stakes feel personal. To really celebrate Richard Smallwood, we have to start with what makes his music his. 1. The sound that feels like a safe place. When you hear a Richard Smallwood song, there's often this feeling like you've stepped into a room where somebody understands you. It might be the way the chords move, rich, full, almost like they're breathing. It might be the way the choir sits behind the lead, not just supporting, but carrying the message like a wall of strength. And it might be the way the songs don't rush. A lot of music is made to fill space. Richard Smallwood's music feels like it makes space. Space for pain questions gratitude, fear, healing, and faith that's still forming. That's one reason his work connects across generations. It doesn't treat people like they're shallow. It doesn't talk down. It speaks to the real stuff. What's special is that many of his lyrics are easy to understand, even for someone young, even for someone who isn't a music expert. But the feelings behind those words, they're not small. He can take a message you've heard before, like "God is with you," and write it in a way that makes it land like it's the first time you ever heard it. And he doesn't just write happy songs. He writes songs for the whole journey. When you're tired, when you're waiting, when you're trying to forgive, when you're celebrating, when you're still asking why, when you don't have the energy to pretend everything is fine. That balance is rare. Some choir music is powerful, but it can feel locked into one era. Richard Smallwood's music has something that keeps it alive. Even when the style is clearly rooted in gospel and church tradition, the writing still feels current because the emotion is real. People still go through the same kinds of storms. People still need the same kinds of reminders. And Richard Smallwood writes reminders that don't feel cheap. A lot of people see a musician's gift and assume it's just natural talent. But with Richard Smallwood, you can hear training, focus, and discipline in the work. Not in a cold way, more like a builder who knows how to make a house strong. The harmonies don't happen by accident. The music isn't lucky. The choices feel careful, like each part is there for a reason. That's why so many choirs struggle to do his songs well. Not because they aren't good singers, but because his music demands control, patience, unity, and real feeling. It's not just about hitting notes. It's about carrying the meaning. If this video is called Celebrating the Life and Music of Richard Smallwood, the question becomes, what are we really celebrating? Yes, we celebrate the accomplishments. Yes, we celebrate the influence. Yes, we celebrate the way his writing changed gospel music. But deeper than that, we celebrate the way his songs show up for people. Because Richard Smallwood wrote music that many people don't just listen to, they lean on. Let's talk about what that looks like in real life. When someone is grieving, there are songs that sound good at a concert, but they don't help you when you're staring at a casket, trying not to break. Richard Smallwood has written music that fits those moments, not by avoiding pain, but by giving pain a place to sit, and then slowly pointing people toward hope. That is a special kind of writing. It's not flashy. It's not trying to go viral. It's not chasing attention. It's trying to hold you together. When someone is exhausted, there's a type of tired that sleep won't fix. The kind of tired that comes from trying to be strong for your family, working and still barely making it, carrying stress for months, spraying, but still waiting, doing the right thing, but still getting hurt. Richard Smallwood's music often speaks to that type of tired. Not with fake energy, not with just smile messages, but with strength that feels honest. When someone is trying to rebuild faith, some people grew up in church and still ended up with questions. They believe, but they've also been disappointed by people, by life, by things they didn't understand. Richard Smallwood's music doesn't feel like it's trying to shame you for having questions. It feels like it's giving you a hand while you walk through them. Imagine a choir rehearsal on a weeknight. People are coming in late from work. Somebody has a headache. Somebody got bad news earlier. Somebody is trying to keep their life from falling apart, but still showed up. And then the pianist starts the intro to one of Smallwood's songs. For a moment, everything slows down. The room shifts, not because the problems disappear, but because the music reminds them. You're not alone, you're still here, you can make it through this, there's still light. That's impact. Now, the title includes something important. 2 hours of music written by Richard Smallwood. That phrase, written by, matters. Because we live in a time where songs are often built by committees, shaped by trends, and pushed out quickly. Richard Smallwood's work reminds people what it looks like when music is written with time, care, skill, and purpose. A 2-hour set of music written by him isn't just entertainment. It's like walking through a story with different chapters. Songs that lift, songs that challenge, songs that calm you down, songs that give you courage, songs that help you breathe again. And if you listen closely, you can hear that the songs are not random. They feel connected by the same heartbeat. Faith that keeps going. Here's something that doesn't get talked about enough. When you make music that helps people survive, people start expecting you to always sound like the moment they needed you most. So if a certain song helped someone through a hard year, they might want you to keep recreating that same feeling forever. But an artist is still a human being. And a writer like Richard Smallwood has to face a hard question again and again. Do I keep people comfortable, or do I keep telling the truth in music? Because truth changes shape depending on the season. Sometimes the truth is a shout. Sometimes it's a whisper. Sometimes it's praise. Sometimes it's, I'm still waiting. A lot of artists get stuck trying to please everyone. But Richard Smallwood's writing has always felt like it comes from a deeper place than popularity.